course, we asked about the meaning of the half coin, why it specifically has to be a half, and other questions. And then we went into a discussion about the various parts of the entire spiritual cosmos. There is the revelation of Hashem, the Eres, there are the vessels, and the garments, and the chambers. And so far, what we learned is that there's a distinction between the vessels and the garments. We give a few analogies. We spoke about how the limbs of the body are united with the energy in them, and they themselves are alive. They alter the divine energy in them to function in commensurate to the realm that they're in, like the physical eye harnesses the soul power of the neshama to see physical things, and now the eye itself sees. So that's how vessels work. The vessels unite with the energy and they become one with the energy, and they transmit and project it according to what they are. As opposed to garments are something foreign from the energy that they harness, that is within them. They're separate from it, and the garments merely channel the and project the energy, but they don't become one with it. The analogy we gave is of letters. Letters are called garments. There are different kinds of letters. We learned about the letters of thought and letters of speech, letters of action. We also learned about three levels within levels of thought. Letters of thought. There's thinking about an idea without even knowing that there are letters in your mind. There's thinking about how to transmit the idea in words. And there's thinking about the words themselves that you're transmitting, or looking at the letters in the Sefer Torah, where you're just thinking about the letters themselves. But even in the highest level of letters of thought, where you don't even notice that there's letters there, still there are letters there, and letters are distinct from the idea that you're transmitting. And that's why Rashi and the Rambam may say the same thing, and yet they are using different words. And although a person could put a lot of his soul into his words, but it doesn't mean the words themselves are alive. I mean, that just means you're injecting in the words life, but not that the words themselves possess life, because words and the energy in them are distinct. They're not the same thing. They're separate. Let's continue on now in 271. Why is it that vessels are united with the energy within them, the godly energy in them, and garments are separate from the divine energy in them? There is different entity. They're not one with the entity that is in them. It's not because of what vessels are and what garments are. It's not because the garments are so low that they're unable to unite with the light. There are four parts of the spiritual ladder. There's a physical of the physical, there's a spiritual of the physical, there's a physical of the spiritual, and there's a spiritual of the spiritual. So in that ladder, letters of thought are the physical of the spiritual. The limbs of the body, which are able to contain the soul energy in the body, the limbs of the body are the spiritual part of the physical. You hear that? If you get someone in the dark. Okay. How do you do us? So what's higher? The limbs of the body, which are able to contain and become one with the energy within them, or the letters of thought, which are the spirit, which are the physical part of the spiritual. The physical, the spiritual, the letters of thought are more spiritual than the limbs of the body, which are the spiritual of the physical. The edelkeit, the refinement. We're not talking about just the limbs of the body themselves. We're talking about the refinement that is in limbs of the body. The refinement, let's say, that's in the physical organ of the eye that allows it to receive the energy of seeing. That refinement is still the spiritual, the physical. It's not the physical, the spiritual.
The eye basically is just a conduit of transfer of whatever it is, and then your brain or your mind now translates or transfers it. It's spiritual, it's physical, it's total gashmis, it's ruchni. What do you do with it?
With what?
with whatever your eye is seeing. So your eye is
your eye is able to see physical things.
right.
So, but what is your eye itself? Is your eye physical or your eye spiritual? So I was classifying the eye as the spiritual part of the physical. It's a more refined. It's built in a way to receive divine energy. It's built to receive a spiritual force. It's built to receive the power of sight.
Isn't the divine energy only if your mind translates it that way? Otherwise, it's Kopkeit. In Chas v'Shalom, you can take a Sefer Torah like the Nazis treated and treat it like.
We're talking
Chas
about
v'Shalom.
no, we're not talking about the Chas v'Shalom Nazis. We're talking about what is it according to chassidus? What does chassidus define the limbs of the body? The limbs of the body, what are they? Are they physical or are they spiritual? Because they're built to be spiritual. They're built to contain the spiritual.
Right, they're built to be right. Okay.
Then there's the letters of thought. The letters of thought are not just built to contain spiritual. They are spiritual. They are not physical. They're the physical of the spiritual. They're not. I mean, in our senses, we can't harness the. We can't connect with the letters of thought. I can't see or touch or any of my senses can't even connect with your letters of thought or my letters of thought. So that's because thought is the spiritual, the physical, the spiritual. However, the limbs of the body, your senses can touch them, and why? Because the limbs of the body are the physical of the spiritual. Are the spiritual of the physical. So we are saying that the reason why it's possible for the letters, for the garments, the reason why it's possible for the limbs of the body to become one with the divine energy within them is because they are more spiritual. That is not true. The letters of thought are more spiritual than the limbs of the body. So what then is the reason why the letters of thought are not able to unite with the energy within them, and the limbs of the body are able to unite with the divine energy in them? Despite the fact that letters of thought are more spiritual, they remain distinct from the divine energy in them, unlike the limbs of the body, which are themselves animated with the spiritual energy of the soul. So the reason why vessels can unite and garments cannot is not because one's more spiritual than the other, because the opposite. In this analogy, we see that the garments are more spiritual than the vessels. Rather, it's because of the fiber, the very stuff that they're made of. Vessels are united with the light and garments are not. It's because of what they are, not because about the material they're made of. In this analogy, the garments are more spiritual than the vessels. And yet, the garments are built to be separate and vessels are not. Vessels become built to be united with the energy in them. This also helps us understand regarding the vessels and garments in Shemayim, in heaven. Vessels unite with the light within them and reveal it. And the garments remain distinct from the light and they hide the light, they conceal the light. However, you still need to understand, according to what we just explained, we said that vessels unite with the light. The vessels and the light are one, and the Zohar says he and the lights are one, he and the vessels are one. However, in the world of Bria, unlike the world of Atzilus, where there's such unity, in the world of Bria, we don't say he and the lights are one, he and the vessels are one. So it seems in the world of Bria, there is no concept of vessels, because the idea of vessels is unity. And since the world of Bria does not have, the world of Bria, which is compared to the throne room, where there's soldiers and officers and ministers, which are all standing in reverence to the king, but they're not the king. Unlike the king's chamber, where all there is just the king. So the world of Bria, where there isn't that level of unity, the word that the operator, the main word to describe the transmission of the divine energy in the world of Bria should be, it would seem, the word garment, not the word vessel. Because in Bria, there isn't the level of unity there is in the world of Atzilus. And garments are separate from the energy in them, just like they are by human being. That our ability to, our thought and our intelligence are distinct from each other. However, it says in the Zohar, it says, you have made garments for them, and from the garments, souls emerge for people. That sentence is not only referring to the world of Yetzirah, that they're garments you've made for them, garments you've made for the lights, but also it's referring to the world of Bria. But we just said that, we started the discourse saying that the lights, vessels, garments, and chambers correspond to the four worlds. So the world of Atzilus is mainly about lights, and the world of Bria is about vessels. But according to what we just learned, the world of Bria doesn't have the level of unity that Atzilus does, and therefore why are we talking about the world of Bria being associated with vessels when the world of Bria doesn't have that level of unity? So the explanation is that there are two different kinds of garments. Chaim. Rabbi gives an example to explain different kinds of garments. It's possible that a garment that is worn controls the energy that is vested in the garment. For example, as I said in last week's Torah portion, the law about bribery. So, why can't you take a bribe? Let's say you know the guy is right. So why don't you make some money on the side also? You know the guy is right, and you're also going to collect some money. Why not? The Torah says bribery blinds you. Although you are, it seems your mind is looking at the case objectively. However, you do want to take the money, and that's the difference between desire and intellect. The desire has nothing that has no vessel that holds desire. There's no part of the body where desire isn't, or desire is specifically. Desire is also not affected by reasons and logic. Desire remains, even if you give reasons for the desire remains aloof. Desire decrees. The desire says this is the way it has to be, and it can't be any other way. Unlike desire, in intellect is made of many details. Desire does not have details. That's why Mr. Shem Rabbi Yosef said that we're going to finish Masechta. We're going to finish because I'm going to get to eat the food at the Siyum. We're going to finish Masechta Nadar. So when you get one page before the end, you haven't completed anything in your desire to complete the Masechta. You complete the Masechta when you completed the Masechta. Even though you would think you did most of the Masechta, but if what you wanted is to complete Masechta Nadarim, you haven't started with that desire.
That's why I guess you actually get the seal with the celebration.
When you finish.
When we actually finish those few lines.
Right.
When you finish those few lines.
Right. The excitement is that you're going to finish the lines, but what's the excitement is about the conclusion.
But that makes the completion.
Right. So when you give a reason for a desire that you have, the desire is now manipulated by the reason, it would seem. But what's more dominant? You want, let's say, the bribe. You have now a reason why this person is innocent. So what's the more dominant fact over here? The fact that you're being bribed, the fact that your mind says this person is innocent. Which one will have? How innocent is he? How much do you want him to get this bribe? The more powerful ingredient over here is your desire. Although the desire may be altered by the reasons that you find for this person to be innocent or guilty, but what's more powerful here is the desire. It's not that when you give a reason for your desire, you want this person you want to get the money, and therefore you find a reason why this person is innocent. Even if you wouldn't find a reason, you'd still want to do it anyways. But when you give a reason for it, you could justify it to yourself and say, yeah, this person is correct. But it's not that this has now become an intellectual exercise. It's not become there's still a monkey in the courtroom. It's not that now that you discovered a reason why the person is innocent, so now this is about the reason. It's more like your desire has affected your logic to think this way. But if you wouldn't find a reason, you still want to make the person innocent. You still have to fulfill that desire. And that's why the Gemara says you cannot measure the mitzvahs of the Torah. You can't say these mitzvahs are more important, these mitzvahs are less important. Mitzvahs are the desire of Hashem. Hashem says about mitzvahs, I have pleasure because you've done my will. In desire, we just said that there's no distinction of details, right? If you want to finish the Masechta, you want to finish the whole Masechta. There's no distinction of details. So there's no difference between one mitzvah and another, a more weighty mitzvah, a lesser mitzvah. It's all the desire of Hashem. But that's just mitzvahs. What about Torah? Torah is about our appreciation of Hashem's wisdom. It explains the mitzvahs. From the perspective, it's a mitzvah to study Torah, true, but let's look at the idea of Torah. Let's isolate what Torah is itself. What is the Torah? Torah is understanding of the mitzvahs. There is a difference between one mitzvah and another. We can look at the details and say this mitzvah is weightier, this mitzvah is less weighty. But when the desire of Hashem is vested in the logic of Torah, although from the perspective of the logic of Torah, you would say this is weightier and this is not so weighty, this is more important, this is less important. But you know that ultimately they're the same. Although you've now looked at it from the analysis of logic and said this is more important, this is less important, but you know that that Hashem is, let's just say this, make it very clear. There are three kinds of mitzvahs which are we have reasons for, mitzvahs which we don't have reasons for, mitzvahs which we once we do them we could explain. Mitzvahs ve'edus, like keeping Shabbos, you could explain that once we keep Shabbos, we're keeping Shabbos because Hashem rested on the seventh day. What started first? Did Hashem want them first and then have a reason? Or did Hashem have a reason and then want them? Hashem's desire preceded the reason for the mitzvahs. Not only that, the fact that some mitzvahs are understood to our mind, Hashem is because Hashem wanted those mitzvahs to go down to the level of logic. But the reason that Hashem chose some and didn't choose others is beyond logic and reason. That is a choik. It is a desire of Hashem beyond logic and reason. Why He chose that honoring your father and mother should become something that's logical. He decided that's something that the human mind should not comprehend. If He would have decided that para aduma would make sense to us, then we would have understood para aduma. Why did He choose para aduma that we should not understand? And in the midst of honoring your father and mother, we should understand. That's something He knows. Not He knows. It's beyond logic and reason. It's a desire of Hashem. It's not because of a reason. It's because of a chayk. It's a desire. So even after you give reasons for mitzvahs, the mitzvahs remain the desire of Hashem, and that's why you can't measure them. Looking at it from halachic perspective, looking at the consequences, you could say this is more, this is less. But that's only the way it's dressed in logic. What is the mitzvah? The mitzvah is Hashem wants. And so too regarding the analog, Shalom Aleichem. Kabbalah talks about the divine energy that facilitated the redemption from Egypt. And he uses the words that Chachma and Bina dressed the arms of Arach Anpin. In English, Chachma and Bina is intelligence, Arach Anpin is desire. The desire of Hashem went into the realm of logic. So, although we said before that that garments are distinct, garments are separate, from the perspective of logic, would Hashem take us out of Egypt? No. The Gemara says that they embittered the lives of our forefathers in Egypt. And the word forefathers refers to Chachma and Bina. So they embitter not just our Chachma and Bina, they embitter the perspective of logic, the divine logic, to say these people are undeserving of redemption. They can't be redeemed. And why was there redemption? The redemption was because of because of God's desire for His people. So although God desired to redeem us, it's a desire beyond logic and reason, yet this desire was dressed in Chachma and Bina. Hashem, so to speak, made a reason for this desire. Why did it have to be dressed in desire? Sorry, why did it have to be dressed in logic and reason? Let's go on page 273 on top. Second line. By the dot 273. Although the redemption from Egypt was because God desires us, not because of logic, yet Hashem, in order to facilitate the redemption, caused his desire to descend to the realm of logic as well. The logic should say that we deserve redemption as well. Why? From the perspective of desire, from the perspective of the level of the crown, light and darkness are the same. But Hashem doesn't want there to be just everything being the same. He wants the Egyptians to be punished. He wants the Jewish people to be saved. So the desire of Hashem, which is beyond the spiritual cosmos, that from that perspective everything is equal, he wants that should come into the realm of the spiritual cosmos and decide the Jewish people should be saved. And therefore it has to go into, it can't remain at the level of Kesser. At the level of Kesser, everything's equal. It has to go into the spiritual cosmos. So that desire to redeem us had to go in the realm of the spiritual cosmos, into the realm of logic, and to dictate to logic. From the perspective of logic itself, we will not be redeemed. We don't deserve redemption. The desire of Hashem manipulated the logic of the divine logic, so the divine logic should say, yeah, sure they deserve to be redeemed. Similar to what I mentioned before about the Mishpatim. Hashem desired that these laws should be understood to our minds. He desired, it's beyond logic and reason why he chose these and not others, but he desired that logic should agree that these mitzvahs make sense. The redemption did not come from logic. Redemption came from desire. It came from Kesser. But it had to go into logic and be dictated by desire. So too is this true in regards to the way the intellect enters the realm of the feelings. Our thoughts produce feelings. How does our thought produce feelings? What happens when the realm of the intellect, of the objective, and the realm of the emotions meet? He says like this. Although your intellect is altered according to your feelings, however, what's dominant here is your intellect. And you have produced feelings that are based upon your intellect. So your feelings are not your natural feelings, which are without the intellect, just the way you feel naturally. Rather, your thought has produced feelings, has created different kind of feelings. They've changed your feelings to be intellectual feelings, feelings based on intellect. Your feeling is based upon your understanding. You understand in your mind, I need to do kindness. And therefore, you have kindness now in your heart. You understand that this person is guilty, this person does not deserve, and therefore you withhold. What's in control? Your mind. So that's one kind of garment where what's being controlled, the lower level is being controlled by the higher level. In this instance, the feelings are being dictated and controlled by the intellect. That's one way, where the lower is being dominated by the higher. You know what the word TMI means? Too much information. We have not so much time. Let's just say for today, before we conclude, the following. The vessels of the world of Bria, we asked that it seems the world of Bria is associated with vessels. And we learned by the human body that the vessels unite with the energy in them. And it would seem that the world of Bria, where we don't find the kind of unity that there is in the world of Atzilus, it would seem the world of Bria is associated with garments, not with vessels. Because the word vessel, like in the human body, the vessels become one with the energy. Unlike the world of Bria, where there is a distinction between the light and the vessel, and the vessels of Bria, And therefore, the operation, the most important word in the world of Bria would seem the word garments, not the word vessels. And yet, we said that in the four worlds, the world of Bria is most associated with vessels, not with garments. So which one is it? Is the world of Bria associated with vessels, which are united with the energy in them, like the limbs of the body, or is the world of Bria the world of garments? So Rebbe just says this. Rebbe says a lot more, but let's conclude with this for today, and tomorrow we'll go into more detail. Although in the world of Bria, the vessels and the lights are not one with each other, there's separation. However, there is a detail in the garments in the world of Bria that is similar to the vessels and the lights. And that's why the world of Bria is associated with the word vessel more than the word garment. In the world of Bria, although there is a separation, there's something distinct. As we learned before, that the world of Bria is like the throne room where there are officers, where there are ministers, and the king is there, but there's other people there as well. Nevertheless, the whatever exists in the throne room is totally abnegated in the presence of the king. And so too in the world of Bria, the main energy in the world of Bria is the divine energy. Everyone is in a state of total nullification to the divine energy. The previous Rebbe once said the world of Bria it exists, it's something. But what is its somethingness? Its somethingness is its devekos, its attachment to godliness. That's what it is. So the main component in the world of Bria is the divine energy, and it's similar to fish in the water. As soon as the fish leave the water, they stop. They can't live. So although they exist outside the water, but they're not alive outside the water. The fish feel that what's the main thing? They're their source. And so too the creations of the world of Bria, they are submerged within their source. Elsewhere, chassidus says that the world of Bria is analogous to the fish in the sense that when you look at the water, you don't even see the fish. All you see is the divine source. And so too in the world of Bria, there's no sense of self. You feel more the divine source than you feel yourself. Like think about being in the throne room. When you're in front of the king, you don't feel yourself as much as you feel the king's presence. But yet, you still exist. So that's why, on the one hand, we're comparing it to garments. There's something distinct. On the other hand, it has something in it that's similar to vessels. And that is the main component of the world of Bria is the revelation of godliness, revelation of Hashem. And that's why in the classification of the four worlds, we're classifying the world of Bria as the world of Kalim, the world of vessels, not the world of garments, because although it is distinct from its divine energy, but what is its definition? Its definition is its attachment to divine energy, its abnegation to Hashem. Okay, to be continued. Great Reb Zev, great Yikes, great David, great Rebel.